Good day. For a while, I've been very curious about Google Sheets in relation to how one can use it as a backend. So I've been working on a JavaScript library that uses REST API underneath to call the Google Sheets version 4 REST API. So what happens here, for example, is if the table doesn't exist, it will create it, and it will also create the headings. So this is a Daisy UI based application. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a user. Let's call it user 1. And then as soon as we create, what is going to happen is a user will be created in the spreadsheet, and a unique ID number will be created for the user. And then the status of the user will be active. So if, for example, you want to toggle the ID status, you can just click here. So it basically means that you're changing it from active to inactive. So as you can see in the spreadsheet, this has been changed to inactive, sorry, and this has been changed to inactive. Let's toggle it again. So what it does is it goes through to that spreadsheet, find this record that has this ID, and then change that particular column there. So if you want to get the user by ID, then what it does is to go and read this particular record of this user, and then it returns it, the ID, name, status, and everything. So to save the records to the spreadsheets, it uses JSON format, and it's built in relation to finding records, deleting them, and all sorts of other things. User at google.com. Let's create another user. Let's create another user also, user 3 at google.com. So we create a user there. Let's see if, for example, we can delete a user. So what we want to do is to click on delete there. Let's delete user ID number 2. So delete this record, yes. And then what it's going to do is to go to that Excel spreadsheet, Google Sheet, and also delete that particular user that's there. So what we're able to do, as you can see, we're able to load existing records in relation to, I want to test this thing out. Let's toggle this status by, and make it inactive, and just see here, if we say inactive, page 110, and then you say get records, what's going to happen here? Yeah, I'll have to check how that works. But basically what it's supposed to do is to say, is to actually go there and then look for all the records that have an active status and also just list them there. So I'll check why that one is not actually working, because we do have filters. For example, we are getting that ID by ID, so it does filter the records and get the one that we want by ID. So for now, we've been able to demonstrate how you can create a record and how you can update it. For example, get by ID, user number 1. Let's change this to user number X, user X, and then we save the records and then see if this thing record updated successfully. So it's saying it has updated here, but it hasn't updated here. Oh, you see what has happened here. So this has actually changed the status to success. It's actually something is wrong here. Let's see. PY updated successfully. Okay, I'll have to debug this particular one to see what's basically happening with it. and also just try and see whether the filter is. But basically, the basic stuff that we want to achieve here is actually working. We're able to create records. We're able to delete records. I've demonstrated that. Let's delete this one, and then I'll debug this one in terms of the update and see what is actually happening, But yeah, from what we're looking at here, our functionality basically is working, but to a particular extent. Because the name is supposed to change to user X and the status is supposed to be active. So it's not currently doing that. So I'm going to debug that and also see what's actually happening. So this demonstrates the CRUD functionality. Of course, the update is not working, but we are going to fix that. But the basic functionality of everything else that we want to achieve is basically working. So yeah, this is loading, and it's going to be very interesting to create applications that will have different sheets where you're going to save different sorts of information in it and make it work. All right. Thank you then. Sure. Bye.